Hello, and welcome back to another of my pipe smoking videos. I'm making this video a couple of days before it's going out. I planned this to go out on a Sunday, and I'm away when this goes out. In fact, I'll be on my way back probably, so it's quite strange. I enjoy making these videos, and I didn't want to make too many of them, so I'm only making one a week, but people in the comments have been very, very kind about the videos on the whole, and about smoking. And I thought when I started these pipe smoking videos there would be a lot of pushback. I didn't realize about the YTPC, the YouTube pipe community, and I didn't realize actually there were that many pipe smokers in the world, and I want to sort of talk a little bit about that in today's video. But before we get into any of that, obviously, I want to smoke my pipe because that's a shared experience that we all have, and it's a beautiful experience, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my pipe. A year in of smoking, and I can't believe I didn't pick it up earlier. I mean, I did pick it up earlier, as I've explained before, but I can't believe that it hasn't been a part of my life, because now I wouldn't be parted from it. And that's something else that maybe I'll talk about. But I'm going to be smoking my Savinelli. I bought this months ago now. It's a beautiful pipe. It has got a number on it for those who wish to know. It says on there 207, and I assume that that is an apple shape. And I wanted to spend a little bit more money than I was normally buying, because I was buying cheaper pipes to see if I wanted to get into pipe smoking, if I would keep it up or what have you. And then I invested in this. Now, I'm curious really, because I watch a number of the pipe smoking videos and they're all great, and different people have different perspectives on all sorts of different subjects, and it's fascinating to see the range of different people, because we're all incredibly different and yet we share this one thing. And isn't that marvellous? And so some people smoke very expensive looking pipes and very unique individual pipes, and sometimes quite huge, and other people are smoking pre-smoked estate pipes, and in the end it doesn't really matter, as you know, it's how you feel, what you do with it, and what it does for you, I suppose. Anyway, does a more expensive pipe work any better than a cheap pipe? I don't think it really does. I think so much it depends on the mood you're in, how you want to smoke, what you want to smoke, the environment that you want to smoke it in. I mean, if you're in a workshop, perhaps you won't want to, you know, if you've got paint flicking around or dust or metal chips going around or whatever it is, you probably don't want to be smoking your best pipe, but you still want to smoke. What am I smoking today? Today, it's not beef dripping, although this is a beef dripping jar. It is Sutliff Great Outdoors. I thought before the Sutliff range goes, it's worth just sampling it and seeing what it's like. I've done a couple of those now, and there was this sort of worry, oh, it's all going to go and everybody's buying it. And I discovered that where I get my stuff from, which mostly is my smoking shop online, there is one in Hove, an actual bricks and mortar shop, which I must go into. I just don't like going into Brighton and round there, because parking is a nightmare, and you can go on the train, so I assume it's fairly near the train. But there's also one in Southampton, I believe, which a friend of mine, who I may mention, also goes to. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be smoking. I don't know too much about it. I think it's a bit of an aromatic. I'm not necessarily an aromatic fan. I quite like the English ones, although I think this has got a bit of a chocolate note or a caramel note in it, which is quite nice. Now, I mentioned before, and this is still true, that I tend to open a tin and then I smoke it all the way through. And the last one I had, which was Samuel Gulwith, Celtic Talisman, and I said I didn't really like it. Well, I persevered with the tin, and I found actually that's an interesting thing, because I was getting very much to like it after pretty much, I suppose, a week of smoking it. and only smoking it, and my palate would adjust to it. So I find, for me, it's actually quite good to take one and smoke it through, because I find each bowl with a different pipe in a different environment, it has a different nuance. Anyway, let's get the thing going. So there we go. Now, I have been smoking this a couple of days actually, because I'm finding I'm smoking the pipe a lot more. Because I'm writing my book, I'm sitting there at the computer and I think, oh, I need to think about this, and I reach for the pipe and away we go. So, one of the things, there's a number of things really. The first thing I wanted to mention is I have a friend who only has one pipe and he loves it and he wouldn't be parted from it, but he only has one pipe and he smokes that copiously. Cleans it out, I guess, and looks after it, but doesn't have the sort of urge to collect loads and loads of pipes. And in some respects, I think that's very admirable, although I would fear losing a pipe and then being bereft. But of course, I guess, you know, you could still get another one. I've got several pipes. And when I first started, I had that urge to, oh, let's get a different type and let's get another one, and I've got to rotate them, and I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and I've got to have a spare, and you can never have enough. And then I've kind of lost that impetus. I keep looking at pipes and I admire people like Harriet pipes, Chris Harriet pipes, for making those pipes, and the other pipe guys that do them. And I would like to see those guys and girls, if there are female pipe makers, continue, because I think it's a very important thing that they're doing, not just for making a pipe, but to being able to earn a living from something that they enjoy, a passion. And I think that's absolutely essential in this life, that we are creative people in one way or another, and if you find the outlet to be creative, I think that's just a blessing. And so I think we should be supporting people who have their little businesses making things. They haven't sold out to the big corporates and things like that. I think that's so important. So people like Chris and the others, you know, they need supporting. And you keep hearing great things about their lovely pipes as well. The other thing that I wanted to say is, there's a lot of, I suppose, negative thoughts about tobacco itself. Not so much about the health business and all of that, which personally I think is ramped up to it's ramped up to very negative reasons, and it's actually not as grim and as unhealthy as people make out. And I think that, but that's another story. But the idea that this message of it being not very healthy, which then has it's affecting the tobacco growers, because not as many people are smoking as they used to, and therefore there's this worry that pipe smoking particularly will be curtailed, and that the governments are trying to get shot of it. And now in my mind, there's a reason why they don't want tobacco and the nicotine that you get from tobacco. And I speak about this in my other channel quite a bit. And that's got nothing to do with bad health and everything to do with good health. It's not the story that we're told. However, I worry, and I think there's a lot of people who worry, that the tobacco will disappear and we will see pipe smokers vanish as if we are a dying breed. But generally I'm a very positive person, and I think that we're going to see a slump. Well, I don't think it's going to go. I personally think there's a resurgence of people interested in it. The fact that this is on YouTube, the fact that we have a community out there The fact that we're making videos about pipe smoking, of all things, you know, it is quite strange. And I know YouTube can be a bit eclectic and people can make videos about the most outrageous or most peculiar and niche things. I haven't really got this going very well. And it's because I'm talking again. But I'm not so sure it's going to die out the way it is. I think the graph will go down a bit, but I think it's going to go up. And of course, in many ways, it's down to us to keep it alive. And I think the pipe makers are very key, because beautiful pipes are beautiful objects. And I think people will be inquisitive. The thing is, in a way, we don't want to really hide what we do under a stone so that nobody sees it, nobody understands, and nobody... I think this is the great thing that we talk about. I find it very strange to call it a hobby, because a hobby to me is something that you do in your part-time, and like stamp collecting or repairing vintage cars or whatever it is. Whereas I think of my pipe smoking anyway as part of my life. It's something I do as much as I eat and wash up and go for walks, and it's not necessarily a business, but it's part of my life. It's a lifestyle choice, if you like. It's something that I find invigorates me, relaxes me, helps me, guides me. It has a spiritual connection for me. I think it's part of our life. So I don't really see it as a hobby. And I think in a way, we need to, it's not that we need to, but I think it's advantageous that we don't hide it from people and go, oh yes, I smoke a pipe and I do it as a little hobby and it's a little private thing. I think, embrace it. It's just part of us. To me, the pipe is an extension of my personality. And it's part of me. And I'm quite happy to walk down the street and sit down in a public place and smoke my pipe. I'm quite happy for people to see me and smell the aroma and go, oh, gosh, isn't that nice? And if anybody asks me about it, I say, yeah, no, it's lovely and it's great. And, there's and explain the wonders of it. I think that's an important part. And this is really what I think the YouTube business is doing for us. We're expanding that community. So I don't see it as a thing that's dying out. And the other thing is, what about the tobacco growers? We need to support those, don't we? It may get expensive, and I think the government will do its damnedest to try and stamp it out for, again, reasons that are not the immediate obvious ones. I think there's something about nicotine which the government's, the powers that be, want us to think one way when the truth is somewhere else. I'll be vague about that, because I think it's not what we're led to believe. But I think that there will be a resurgence, and I think it will be perfectly fine. Now, that's not to say that people will start smoking again in pubs and things and all of that. And I understand to non-smokers, they may see it as a dirty habit. And I'm not great with cigarette people. I have no problem, really, if they want to smoke cigarettes. I just wish the cigarettes were not filled with all sorts of additives that make it addictive and all of that. So anyway, so that was one of the things. As ever, I'm talking too much that the pipe just keeps going out, and that is a feature. I take time out of my day to sit with nothing going on and just smoke. I love looking at the smoke, the shapes it makes. And if you move around, you see the sort of 3D shape of it going up. It's It's a very important aspect of my life now. And I say that it's sort of spiritual. I think it is, because it takes you out of the materialistic world in this world between matter and non-matter. I know that all sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? So I would be interested in the comments. Do you smoke an expensive pipe or a cheaper pipe? And do you notice any difference in it? I have to say, I do like this Savinelli. I like the stem, but I've been given these pipes from the 1970s, which I think is not acrylic stems, but I think they must be vulcanite, and I like them as well. And I've got some to either sell or to give away or to share with people. And I don't really know what to do with them and how to do that yet. I was told that I've got I think I demonstrated it, a clay pipe, and it sold for about £80. Somebody said, goodness knows how you would send it in the post. And I love the fact that people are sending samples of tobacco for people to try. I think that's lovely as well. And it's, as many of them say, it's a great way of meeting fellow pipers and sharing what you've got. You know, it's such an interesting thing. Anyway, I thought for a change, I wouldn't talk about my writing and my book. Obviously, I enjoy puffing the pipe whilst I'm reading. But yes, I think that's about really all I wanted to say. It's because this is going ahead of the time, it just feels a bit strange, because I normally make the videos at the weekend rather than halfway through the week. So it just feels a bit weird. But people have been very kind and said they enjoy the slightly longer format and just the sort of relaxed chatter. So anyway, next week, I hope I'll be back to nearer the time when I put the video out, when I make it. But I'm always interested in seeing other people's videos and chatter and all of that. It's just a very pleasant thing that we do amongst ourselves, that most people out there probably think we're all raving mad, and how can you be so excited about one thing? But then I'm sure they also have a little niche that they watch that you and I perhaps would find a bit barking mad. And at the end of the day, aren't we all barking mad? And isn't that great that we're all unique and individual, and we're not clones? We're not the same as everybody else, that we have our unique things. And I think this is where pipe smoking sets us apart. And it's a nice thing, not to be egotistical or anything. It's just a very enjoyable experience. And so my parting words are that despite big takeovers and all of that, I think actually all of that's an opportunity for smaller people to get together and grow an industry or businesses in the pipe world, because I think it's too important to let it disappear. And on that note, I shall relight my pipe one more time and bid you farewell. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.